And I guess we're back, right? Are we back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like
Okay.
we're back.
I think we're back.
Okay.
Most professional show on the web, yo.
You just
Totally.
like splice the please stand by like old school TV thing in there with a beep.
Yeah.
Some really lame elevator music.
Yeah. Girl from Ipanema playing.
I was just thinking the girl from Ipanema.
All right, since we're
That's what was in my head right before you fucking said it.
all right, let's jump into this because now we're short on time. But we were talking about the weather. So I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. Gohmert, Gohmert.
That's how I would pronounce
Gohmert.
it.
Yes,
Representative Gohmert asked whether federal agencies can fix climate change by altering the orbit of the Earth and the Moon.
This is right up there with the will Guam capsize if we put too many soldiers there.
I watched the
Yeah.
video. I watched the video several times, and I can't tell if he's serious or if he's trolling. But
I couldn't tell that about the Guam capsize guy either.
Yeah. So,
And
but
then
I
eventually I was like, he's got to be serious. Nobody could keep a straight face
Yeah.
this fucking long.
so during a
Well,
Tuesday
no.
here. Yeah, during a Tuesday hearing on the House Natural Resources Committee, Representative Louis Gohmert seemed to float the novel idea for solving the climate crisis, changing the orbits of the Earth and the Moon. Gohmert, Republican out of Texas, posed the highly speculative theory in the form of a question to Jennifer Eberlein, Associate Deputy Chief of the National Forest System. Quote, this is his quote. Okay. Quote, I understand from what's been testified, the Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management, you want very much to work on the issue of climate change. I was informed by the immediate past director of NASA that they found that the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity, and so is there anything the National Forest Service or BLM, that is the Bureau of Land Management, can do to change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Obviously, that would have a profound effect on our climate.
First of all, what does solar flares have to do with that? I don't.
No. Hang on.
Hold on.
My
Take
first thing about this is that the U.S. is one country on this planet, and you're talking to fucking Bureau of Land Management and Forestry Services
Yeah.
of one fucking country asking them to change the
They've actually
orbit.
been secretly altering the planet to turn it into a giant Death Star for years.
We need like an Oscars, but for hubris instead of acting.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what the
The person responded with, quote, I will have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gohmert.
And
I'm not even
translation,
gonna-
I can't call you a flaming fucking retard
Yeah,
on the House floor. So
I-
I'm going to talk to you in private later.
You know, and that was the thing that amazed me, like when the congressman thought that Guam would capsize, where that general just Senator, that wasn't really an eventuality that we had anticipated.
Dude,
Like
that
how
guy
do you
controlling himself like is the most ringing endorsement of self-discipline the military can
Yeah.
teach that I've
How-
ever seen. That guy didn't fall out and
Yeah.
fucking kill himself laughing.
how do you not just go, are you fucking serious right now? Are you
Yeah.
how fucking dumb are you? How fucking dumb are you? Are you kidding me right now? Like
You can't
What?
tell me that you are one of the leaders of the free world here and you think islands are floating on the surface of the ocean.
yeah, like are you what how do you think land works? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And like this,
Uh.
how do you think how big do you think the planet is? Okay, how light, how easy do you think
Let's
it is?
start with something
to
smaller.
move
How
this?
big do you think the Bureau of Land Management is?
Yeah,
How big do you think the Forestry Service is?
what kind of budget are you under the impression they have? Because apparently you think it's a bit higher than it is.
See, what they need to do is they just need to hack into the matrix, into the computers, and change the temperature settings
Right.
for the simulation.
But this is
and what makes you think you have a right to make that decision for the entire fucking planet, even if it were possible?
Yeah, like, oh, hey, by the way, sorry about that. Every country in the extreme northern hemisphere, including Canada, our next door neighbors, we just accidentally moved the planet too far out, and now you're all going to freeze to death. But don't worry, at least climate change is probably fixed.
Yeah. Don't worry about, like, you know, all the fucking tidal waves that are devastating coastal areas. We just wanted to move the moon a little bit.
You guys didn't really like Japan that much, right?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if it was just like,
see what we need to fire
we still have Mount Fuji.
We need to send like 10 nukes at the moon to move it. See, but then you got to do Einstein's, object in motion stays in motion until acted upon by an outside source. So now you have to fire rockets at the moon to move it, but then you have to fire rockets at the moon to stop it also.
Isn't that new?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not. I do a podcast. I'm not a smart man.
No, wait. So he says that, then the Guam guy stands up and says, "But you'll capsize all the islands."
Yeah. But if there's too many tidal waves, won't all the islands capsize? It's Jesus. You know what this reminds me of, though?
These are the people who are making decisions for your fucking healthcare, for the education of your children.
This reminds me of. So I heard a story from a guy that he runs like a company that like gets cars and stuff for like movies and TV and commercials and stuff, right? And he got asked to get this car for a makeup company, and like they picked out the car, and it's like this black Porsche 356. It takes them weeks to get it. They have to get through Manhattan. They have to get it to the 5th floor of this building for the photo shoot. They get it there. And then, like up this freight elevator and then hand rolling it, a 356.
They're lucky it's a Porsche. That might be the only car they can fit in a freight elevator.
Yeah. And then they have to roll it down a hallway and stuff by hand very carefully. And she walks in, the manager of Maybelline walks in and goes, "This could be red." And he's like, "If you repainted it, yes, this could be red, but this car is black." And she's like, "No, this could be red." And he's like, "I mean, it could, in theory, it was available in that color, but this one is black. I don't understand." And she just kept repeating, "This could be red." And like the photographer finally translates, "Do you want a different car because you want a red one?" "Oh yeah, this could be." He's like, "I think in her head, she thought you could just push a button and now it would be a red car, or we could just like spray paint it or something for the purpose of the photo shoot." Like these are people who do not live in the real world. Right?
No, they don't.
The real world where like it takes time and effort and money and things to do things, and like people have to actually like take time out of their day to go get stuff, and they've never experienced that. They don't understand the kind of effort it takes to do things. For them, they just snap their fingers, demand something, and somebody else puts in that effort. So because they have a doorman, they probably don't have a driver's license of their own. They've never driven their own cars. They have no idea how the world works. Right. So when they're faced with a problem like climate change.
That really sounds like the kind of person I want in charge of my life.
Right? Someone who has no idea how things really work, so that when they're faced with a problem, they go, "Oh, we'll just move the planet." No, that isn't how the entire universe.
It's like the episode of SpongeBob with the fucking Alaskan bullworm. And Patrick's suggestion is, why don't we just take Bikini Bottom and push it over there?
Yeah, move it over there.
His solution was to push the whole city away from where this worm was.
Yeah. I mean, and you gotta know that the NASA guy that he talked to, when he mentioned having talked to him, is like, "Oh, please don't ever mention me again."
No, I'll bet you the guy was like, "You should totally say that. You should totally say that."
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. And you should bring that up in session on the floor in a microphone.
That NASA guy has that like on a GIF, just repeating over and over and over and just laughing his ass off.
Revenge of the fucking nerds.
What's the that TV show Practical Jokers?
Oh God!
Practical Jokers. Yeah, there's one of them sitting in the back. "No, ask if we can move the planet." It'd be fucking great.
Oh, that was a good one.
That's because I think it's because I had my hand up here, like pushing the sound down towards my mic.
Oh,
It's just how do you
yeah, suggest moving the planets. I dare you.
Just-
Do it.
do it? No, I don't want. No, you have to. You lost. You got to do it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Like,
lost
what
the
did-
bet. Now you have to go into Congress and tell them we should move the fucking planet.
Oh,
You either have to wear a Cleveland Browns jersey, or you have to ask them if they can move the planet. You're gonna have to pick one. You
Well,
lost the bet.
fuck.
I guess I'm asking them to move the planet.
All right. All right. We got to go to the next episode, or next time I am going to fucking asphyxiate my water. Or we move to the next article.
all right.
Yeah, or I'm gonna
Update from
fucking
a previous
asphyxiate.
article. We talked about Kevin Strickland, 62 years old. The guy's been in jail for like 40 something years. Prosecutors are trying to get the case. Essentially, the prosecutor says the guy's innocent. Like, we have no real proof. We wouldn't have tried this evidence if we had it today. We want him out of jail. And then the court kicked the can. The court's like, we're not going to take up the case.
Yeah, and we had
Right.
suggested on the episode, like, well, why doesn't the governor just pardon him?
Yeah.
Because Republican Missouri Governor Mike Parsons said addressing the clemency petition for a man who's been behind bars for a triple murder for more than 4 decades is not a priority, even though
Yeah.
prosecutors say he didn't commit the crime.
This is saying, well, yeah, but fuck that guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Literally,
it doesn't
that's
matter
what
if
he
he's
said.
innocent. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even care. I don't care. It's not my priority. I don't care.
I mean, never mind that we've had an innocent man in a cage for 40 years. It's not my priority to get an innocent man out of a cage after 40 years.
And how hard would it be for him to do this too? Like,
Yeah.
this is
Tell his assistant to fucking do the legwork, drop the paperwork. The guy just has to fucking sign the thing.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not at all. No, totally not. Yeah, just fucking
Oh my god. I mean, that's all he'd have to do is sign a fucking piece of paper. He's just got to sign a fucking piece of paper, and this guy can at least get let out. But he's not going to, and you know that the reason he's not going to is because that would require that he admit that the justice system fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah, that and it's an emotional fucking issue. It's an emotional thing that would have people at each other's throats, like, you know, in the news and stuff like that. Like, some people thinking that he's still guilty and should still be behind bars, and you know how these things devolve into fucking like society-wide fights.
Yeah,
Yep.
until there's a populist answer to
Yeah,
the situation, he's gonna
exactly. He doesn't fucking want it brought up in his next re-election campaign.
Well, it should be brought up. It should be brought up every fucking day.
Well, definitely should be brought up now for sure. Like, if I were running against him, I'd be like, look at this dude that wouldn't even release somebody who everyone knew was innocent. He still wouldn't release him. Like, you're gonna trust that man?
Yep.
He totally has your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but okay, you guys remember back to the original arrest was 2018. I think we covered it early last year, middle of 2019 when we covered it. The woman in Brookings, Oregon, on the mobility scooter that was pulled over, and they sentenced her to like 5 days in jail for not wearing a helmet and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Oh shit. Is it me?
What?
Oh, I think it was me that froze that time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
So there's an update to that one. Finally, update to that one. But for past, it's after a night of karaoke with friends in Brookings, Oregon, in November 2018, Jennifer Grayman, 50, started to make her way home on her mobility scooter, a device that she's reliant on for transportation due to multiple disabilities. But 2 Brookings police officers stopped Grayman on her way there. The cops accused her of using the scooter on the sidewalk, failing to walk it across a crosswalk, and not wearing a helmet, which is a low-level offense that triggered a dispute in which Gaiman repeatedly brought up her rights as a disabled person. The cops then proceeded to cite her on multiple offenses, including, quote, unsafe operation of a motor-assisted scooter, before telling her that she couldn't ride the mobility scooter back to her residence without proper protective headgear. Yeah.
For
So
a
she filed-
mobility scooter.
A mobility scooter,
Yeah.
yeah. And they yelled at her for not walking. So just process it. Not walking her mobility scooter across a crosswalk.
Yeah.
Right. If she could fucking walk, she
Yes.
wouldn't be in a mobility scooter.
So, quote, faced with the choice of exercising her rights to drive home on the scooter and face unlawful retaliation by police officers or attempt to walk home in freezing temperature, Gaiman opted to use the scooter, according to her lawsuit.
And then they chased her. They fucking chased her.
That was apparently enough to spur a low-speed police chase that ended in Gaiman's garage. Cops restrained Gaiman and charged her with fleeing police. She was later convicted and sentenced to 5 days in jail.
It's like the O.J. Simpson chase, but even dumber. Like,
yeah.
So that was 2018, November 2018. Now, more than 2.5 years later, or 2 years after her initial arrest, the Oregon Court of Appeals said Gaiman should never have been convicted with, quote, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer in the first place. The appeals court reversed Gaiman's conviction in a ruling on Wednesday. Quote, an essential element of the offense of fleeing or attempting to elude police officer was the defendant had to be operating a motor vehicle. The state did not put any evidence that the defendant was operating a motor vehicle when she, a disabled person, operated her motor-assisted scooter in a sidewalk and crosswalk and then left the scene after being stopped and cited by police.
Yeah, that's literally like how she walks. Like if anybody else, it would be them using their legs, right? It's not like she was on a fucking moped.
Yeah, she's in a fucking like a scooter that old people and people who can't walk and
Gaiman uses the mobility
really
scooter
fat people in Walmart.
Yeah. Gaiman uses the mobility scooter because she can't get a valid motor vehicle driver's license. Macular degeneration of both eyes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, asthma, lumbar degeneration, perpetual pain, peripheral neuropathy, which causes numbness, neuropathy, which causes weakness in the hands and the feet. So she's also fucked up.
Neuropathy into my right thumb now.
And they arrested her for not wearing a helmet on her disability scooter.
That's not even a law.
No.
Like, she's not even legally required to do it.
Yeah.
She was literally charged with breaking a law that doesn't exist. And then convicted of fleeing officers.
And sentenced to 5 days in jail.
Yeah, and sentenced to time in jail for not being, because she left the scene of a stop that was illegal to begin with.
Yes.
Right. And they chased her because she didn't have a helmet, which she didn't have to by law.
Yeah.
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 So.
It's so stupid.
But the Oregon Court of Appeals overturned that, right?
Yeah, they overturned it. The lawsuit said in a brazen and clumsy display of authority, officers pursued plaintiff on a mobility scooter at approximately 15 miles per hour for the next several minutes, called for backup, and turned on full lights and sirens.
I love that combination of words, brazen and
clumsy.
And clumsy. Yeah. I'm pretty stoned. I couldn't remember that for that long.
The lawsuit also calls it pathetic. It says this pathetic and low-speed chase ended at the plaintiff's home where several officers took hold of and arrested the plaintiff. So they called them brazen, clumsy, and pathetic in the lawsuit.
And those mobility scooters, they are not fast. I can fucking walk faster than somebody operating one of those. And I'm half crippled.
Can you imagine all of these cop cars just going along with their sirens and lights going and just, oh yeah, she's this hardened criminal. How are you ever going to keep up? Like, oh boy, better clear the roadway ahead of it.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. All right. New Yorkers in 3 boroughs just 3 boroughs. Which ones were they? They are the Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Bronx. Are watched by 15,280 surveillance cameras that belong to the NYPD and government.
You know, I think New York has actually topped, because it was that London was actually the single most monitored city in the world. It actually beat Las Vegas as the single most monitored city in the world. I think New York has actually now beaten London and is more heavily monitored than all of the casinos in Las Vegas.
So,
which is saying something.
Yeah, quote, the New York City Police Department has the ability to track people in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx by running images from 15,280 surveillance cameras into invasive and discriminatory facial recognition software. That's a quote from, from Amnesty International.
And those are just government owned, like police owned cameras. Is that right?
Yes, NYPD.
And then they can get warrants for the other cameras, people's Ring doorbells and all that kind of shit.
Yes. Manhattan intersections, 3,590, Brooklyn, 8,220, and 3,470 in the Bronx.
That seems a little backwards. I would be monitoring the Bronx a little more heavily if I were that.
Just joking. It's 142 miles, roughly, square miles.
Something
142
like
square miles. I just looked it up. So,
142
square miles, and it's how many? It's 15,000.
15,280.
Jesus.
I mean, so you're looking at what, like well over 100 cameras
per square mile.
That's insane.
That's beyond insane.
Well over. So let's see. Let me do a little bit more math.
Where
so
I
5,000.
Where I live, in 1 square mile, there might be maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 homes or properties.
Oh.
That is an average. If I did my math right, of 1 camera every 23 square feet across the entire 3 boroughs.
Do you want Skynet? Because that's how you fucking get Skynet.
If Skynet and Big Brother had a baby, it would be what, the fifth largest army in the world? Something like that is what NYPD is.
Yeah. I mean, that means that you could theoretically be tracked for your entire day, non-stopped. Even if you didn't have a cell phone or any electronic devices on you at all, you would be able to be tracked absolutely everywhere you go.
Other than inside a private residence. And if people have Alexa, then
that's
Siri.
Assumingly not inside a private.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like, what happens if there's no blinds on that window? They have a camera in the right place. They can still see it. They can still track you there too. Like,
yep.
My God. And does it reduce crime? Well, let's think about the crime rates of the Bronx and Brooklyn for a minute here. Just momentarily. Boy, that's helpful.
Yeah.
For your safety, though. Don't worry. It's for your own safety. We promise.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Speaking of tracking, let's do this one. Unvaccinated students numbered with a Sharpie and tracked at a high school prom.
Oh my God, that one.
But it's so fucking offensive. It's so fucking offensive that one company decided to do the unvaccinated gold stars of David. That's so offensive.
Yeah.
But we're literally getting numbers on people's arms.
Libertarian Party of Kentucky made they didn't say it directly, but they alluded to that sort of thing, and it got so much drama and BS and attention that the governor had a comment on it. Yeah, that the governor publicly commented on about it. Yeah. So, unvaccinated students attending the Exeter, Exeter. Exeter, New Hampshire high school prom were numbered with a Sharpie pen and then tracked throughout the evening.
Because that's what I wanted when I went to prom, with somebody writing on my arm with Sharpie.
Oh yeah, it gets so much.
I mean,
worse.
again, like this.
No, I know.
Is,
I know that.
Yeah, but first of all, it does get worse. I thought you were gonna say it gets better. To be like, it's not better.
No.
I have a better.
I
article.
actually read this one.
Yeah, but
What?
I mean, like, think
Derica read an article before
Holy
we talked
shit.
about it.
that
I
kind of
know.
feels like a violation of our code of ethics, really.
I think probably.
But no, but I mean, like, think about
snort
this.
counter reset to 0.
So these
They're
are
more like
these are
guidelines.
Yeah, they're really more like guidelines.
She's an anarchist. She doesn't give a fuck.
But it's. I mean, think about this though. So these are the people, right, who are like protesting no Nazis in whatever town outside of that hat store that is selling those morale patches that are the yellow unvaccinated stars, calling them Nazis for comparing this to Nazi Germany and the treatment of the Jews. And these same people that are comparing them to Nazis are the ones who are then writing numbers on people's fucking forearms for being unvaccinated.
Yeah.
And making everybody stop every 3 dances.
Yeah. And
so people can hold up their arms and be counted and accounted for.
I mean, for the record, if anybody does that to me, I'm holding up my arm like that. I'm gonna be like, fuck you.
One finger salute. All right. Anne-Marie Banfield, who writes for the blog Granite Grok, reported New Hampshire. Representative Melissa Letchfield, who represented the Brentwood District, posted to Facebook Tuesday that some of the constituents informed her of unvaccinated students who attended the Exeter High School prom Monday. Quote, had a number written on them in a Sharpie, and they were tracked out. Okay.
Why does the school have access to their medical records to begin with?
Yeah. If they were on the dance floor, they had to raise their hands after every 3 songs so their numbers could be recorded by other underclass students for contact tracing purposes. There's even more to the story, but this alone is surprising to us. We truly feel that they are literally branding our kids if they don't get an experimental emergency approved vaccination.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, like, think about what this is training both sides.
You feel like that, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Like think about what this is training. So this is not only training these kids, like, it's okay to be branded. Like, oh no, just submit to this branding if you want to do stuff.
Yeah.
But this is also to monitor all of your other citizens.
Exactly.
If they're fucking.
Yeah, this is creating a bunch of informants.
Yeah. The other another parent said that they had there was a list of students' names first and last with the info on whether they were vaccinated or not on a table outside after prom.
Yeah, they just left that HIPAA information laying around.
Information should never have been shared, should never have been where anyone could have access to it, blah, blah, blah. Quote, I find it absolutely unbelievable that was allowed to treat kids like prisoners in Nazi Germany, marking them, thus signaling them out and making them raise their hands is beyond tolerable.
Well, I mean, and... One, okay, this is a privacy violation and everything else, but like, to me, like, I mean, I can't help but think, I'm not saying that you should beat up these kids who are willing to do the monitoring. What I am saying is that if it had been in my high school, back when I was in high school, the kids who were willing to do this would all have gotten their asses fucking kicked.
The next day, yeah.
Yeah, they would have just gotten the living shit beat out of every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the article goes on to say, it was not communicated to us beforehand. The kids were told it was optional to provide a copy of their vaccine card. When they showed up at prom check-in, they were marked and had a number written on them in black Sharpie if they were not vaccinated. Those who were vaccinated had a different color mark and no number assigned to them. Underclassmen were given the role of writing the numbers down on the dance floor. After every 3 or 4 dances, kids were asked to raise their hand so underclassmen could record the numbers.
So first of all, if that ever happens to you, don't
creating a new class division in society.
If this is ever
it's a caste system.
Well, and you should be teaching your kids that if this is something that ever happens, you don't raise your arm and you go wash that off immediately.
Yeah,
like that's what you do. Fuck them. No. First of all. Second of all, like, that the kids who are the ones who are getting charged with this, they are the aspiring class presidents. They are the aspiring politicians. They are the I'm going to organize mandatory fun kind of kids, right? Those are the ones who are doing
one
it.
Parent went
Model
on to say,
UN kids.
Yep.
One parent went on to say
it
has become a way to separate and call out those that won't follow along. It's a scary, slippery slope, and I hope that if attention is brought to it, people might think twice about whether we want to start down that slope or not.
Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I did model UN once. once.
Yeah.
And
I
I
did none of
fucking
that shit.
basically slept through the whole thing. So,
I
because
did
it
none
was
of that
so
shit.
fucking uninteresting.
Like I like looked like I remember in school, like high school, like being like kind of looking at like student government and everything else and realizing, wow, this is really fucking lame. And like, fuck you nerds. And then I'm like, I'm gonna go drink and drive a muscle car. So fuck you guys. And like, nope. Like, I mean, I'm the guy who skipped my own
I like looked
graduation
at
so
it and
I
I
could
was
go
like,
get hammered. So
I looked at them and I was just baffled. I was like, who fucking wants all that extra bullshit to do? Who wants that much extra fucking responsibility? What kind of psycho wants to fucking
yeah.
volunteer for that?
Oh yeah, or the future. Like I went to a couple of meetings for the Future Teachers of America because I wanted to be a history teacher. I know, shocking, right? No one could tell that.
Yeah.
But like that's what I went. And then like I went there and they're like, okay, so you need to be here early on this day, and we're gonna stay late on this day, and we're gonna do this and this, and we're gonna organize this with the students. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of those things.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
nope.
This sounds like the opposite of fun. I'm
Yeah,
outie.
this like the mandate.
Yeah.
I brought that up at work the other day. We had this pep rally for our new system release, and I said something about like, oh, is that obligatory? And my boss is like, yeah, it's obligatory. I'm like, so you're telling me? She's like, but it's gonna be fun. And I said, so you're telling me that's mandatory fun? Is that what you're saying? This is gonna be mandatory fun? That's what we're doing right now? And she
I've
didn't
heard
get it.
that before. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Well,
didn't
veterans
get the reference.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
all veterans fucking get it.
I
Oh,
just picture the communists walking down the street in Red Dawn. He's looking at the crowd and he starts waving the flag. The crowd behind the cage starts waving the flag back.
Yeah.
What? Yay.
And we are feeling most patriotic, comrade. Yes, go team, go. But I mean,
That's what I always think of when the pictures of like the Kims in North Korea with all those smiling citizens standing next to them. I always think of fucking mandatory fun. Like the smile's there, but their eyes are just fucking dead.
Yeah,
I have to find that article now.
I mean and that's the thing is like these. We talk about how we call public schools socialist indoctrination camps, communist indoctrination camps, and then it's creating these obedient slaves, and like that's its sole goal. This right here demonstrates that beyond anything else so clearly. Like this is what this is. They are training these kids to just acquiesce to this because, well, I got to obey if I want to have fun. And these other kids to feel like they're special because they're doing the bidding of their masters.
Right.
Derica mentioned Kim, so I have to bring this up. Kim Jong-un cracking down on the DRPK K-pop fans.
Oh, yes.
Amid increasing cultural influence from South Korea, North Korea leader imposed harsher penalties on citizens caught listening to perverse K-pop music.
I mean,
the anti-K-pop campaign came to light through internal documents that were smuggled out. He called it a vicious cancer that was corrupting North Korean youths. Attire, hairstyles, speeches, behaviors, all the dancing in the 80s movie Footloose, but with a much darker bent.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying I understand it, but I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah. To be clear, K-pop makes me want to commit Harry Carey.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. An apparent bid to launch his own. Yeah.
Like with a
baby
fucking splintered pencil.
Yeah. In an apparent bid to launch his own brand of cancel culture, Kim introduced new laws in December, stipulating that anyone caught watching or possessing South Korean content could be sentenced up to 15 years of hard labor.
Can you imagine getting 15 years of hard labor because you were listening to fucking K-pop?
Yeah.
Fucking like South Korean version of NSYNC.
Because you got a haircut that they consider like culturally corruptive. Aren't there like 6 approved fucking haircuts?
They have that TV show, the Let's all get most glorious people's revolution haircuts or whatever.
Yeah, those caught singing, speaking, or writing in quote South Korean style could be sentenced to 2 years at a work camp.
Writing in South Korean style. You mean like when we were in middle school and we did bubble letters and shit all over our binders? Is that what they mean by style?
Can you
to
do
be fair,
Korean in bubble letters?
School is a work camp.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it just, like I said, I'm not saying this is okay. I'm not saying it's okay. What I'm saying is, I understand.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not that we are not supporting K-pop by talking about this. Okay, let's make that very fucking clear.
Kim Jong Un's.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that nobody. There are no good sides in this conflict. Okay? I want all sides to lose.
Let us pray. Oh, sweet meteor of death.
Yeah. I mean, I'll admit Baby Metal is pretty fucking epic. If you've never heard Baby Metal is pretty fucking epic. But it's also not K-pop. It just kind of looks like K-pop, but it's actually death metal. So,
I mean, like,
fact that Andrew knows what Baby Metal is disturbs me.
Dude, I fucking love metal, and like somebody told me, and I'm like, really? And then I looked up. Oh no, it's pretty fucking awesome. Actually, it's gets in your head, man. Gets in your head.
See, in my head right now, I have a celebrity death match going on. You guys remember celebrity death match?
Oh my god, you know how
it's
epic
North
that
Korea
would be.
versus K-pop. And I'm like, this is the fucking world we actually live in right now.
Well,
It's just North Korean soldiers trying to escape the ring.
Yeah.
I gotta look up K-pop bands because I don't know K-pop bands. Let me try and find one that just looks. Because you need the visual if we're going to talk about the death. Oh, here we go. So these guys right here versus Kim Jong Un in a celebrity death match.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right, we've reached our allotment of the phrase K-pop for the year.
Yeah, I've had enough.
All right. This professor shared body camera footage of cops strip searching a minor. Now prosecutors want to throw him in jail for it.
For giving them evidence?
Yeah.
How dare you give us evidence?
No. We'll get into that. That's not what it's about. We'll get into that.
It's how dare you expose and you question.
The
methods.
No, it was exposed already.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying is like, how dare you personally expose and question our methods of strip searching a fucking minor?
Yeah, the parish attorney's office for East Baton Rouge is seeking to jail a professor after he shared publicly available body camera footage showing a traffic stop where 5 Baton Rouge Police Department officers strip searched a minor and then entered the family's home with guns drawn without a warrant or consent.
So he wasn't even there. It's not like he recorded this on his phone and then blasted it out on social media, which he has an absolute right to do anyway.
He didn't even do a Freedom of Information Act request.
It was already public domain, and he just like hit the share button.
Basically.
Yes. Yeah, that sort of thing, yes. Thomas Frampton, assistant professor of law at the University of Virginia.
And he's a lawyer.
Acquired the video, which was originally obtained and published by Reason Magazine.
He's a law professor.
In Virginia.
Yeah.
In Virginia.
In Virginia.
Not in Baton Rouge. In Virginia.
But I'm just saying he's an actual, but I mean, because he's a law professor, he's going to have passed the bar. He is a fucking attorney who teaches other attorneys, and he's the guy you're going after for violating his First Amendment right.
Yes.
Wait, and he was in Virginia at the time he shared this.
Yeah, he's a law professor at the University of Virginia.
And a jurisdiction from another fucking state, like over 1,000 fucking miles away.
Yes.
Is charging this guy with something.
Yes.
He wasn't even in their state.
This gets better. The report attracted significant national attention, ultimately prompting the BRPD, that is the Baton Rouge Police Department, press conference on May 28th, when the department defended the strip search but said a review was underway as it pertained to a warrantless home entry. During the press conference, Frampton received notice that East Baton Rouge Parish Attorney Anderson Dotson III, Assistant Parish Attorney Dealey Morris, Special Assistant Parish Attorney Joseph K. Scott III had filed an order to hold him in contempt of court and put him in behind bars for up to 6 months. The request cites a Louisiana state law that prohibits disseminating, quote, records and reports relevant to juvenile court proceedings. Such a proceeding doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, there's no they didn't charge him with anything, right? Like that juvenile wasn't charged
there's
with
no
anything.
juvenile
Which means
proceeding,
there's no juvenile court proceeding.
The only case here is a case of police misconduct.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, in the June 2nd letter to Dodson, obtained by Reason, Nora Ahmed, legal director for the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana, notes that, quote, there is not now, nor has there ever been, a matter of proceeding before the juvenile court related to the events depicted of the videos. The government made the footage public in November of last year.
Okay, yeah.
So they
public.
want to charge him for something that doesn't exist for sharing a publicly available video.
An attorney who lives in another state 1,000 fucking miles away.
Yes.
Welcome to Louisiana.
The incident depicted occurred January 1st, 2020, when 5 BRPD cops strip searched a minor and his brother, Clarence Green, then 23, because the officers allegedly smelled marijuana. After traveling to the Green's household, they then conducted a warrantless search of the property. Green was indicted for illegally possessing a firearm, which he was prohibited from having while on probation for possession of oxycodone, according to the incident report. He sat in jail for 5 months until the state abruptly dropped the charges.
The charges were fucking dropped. There's no court proceeding.
Yeah.
Even though your law is fucking bullshit, and even though this stop originally was fucking bullshit, and even though your conduct was fucking bullshit, at the end of the day, there wasn't even a continuing proceeding.
Yeah.
This was publicly available. He shared it, and the only reason they're going after him is because it has caused them even more embarrassment because a law professor shared it.
Yes. Yeah. Judge Brian A. Jackson of the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Louisiana signed off on that request, but in a highly unusual move, he took the opportunity to berate the police for their, quote, serious and wanton disregard for the Green family's constitutional rights.
Yeah.
Clarence's brother, who was 16 at the time and whose name has been redacted since he is a juvenile, did not and does not have any proceedings against him. So they strip searched a minor on the side of the road
who had nothing to do with the actual case.
He
just happened to be a family member. Yeah.
Well, the actual case is
against
because the officer smelled marijuana.
Thought he smelled marijuana.
Thought he smelled marijuana, and then took the unconstitutional effort to go to the guy's home.
Let me tell you something about the Deep South.
I was just
searching. Let me tell you something about the Deep South.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this, and I agree.
The whole place is a fucking swamp, which means the whole place smells skunky, which means the whole fucking place smells like marijuana.
Well, not only that, but the fucking cops will in the South will go out of their way to always, every single traffic stop, they will say I smell marijuana. Okay,
now hold on.
No, we know, Andrew. We know.
No. I was working with law enforcement once upon a time, not the proudest moment in my life, but I was working with law enforcement on my way to go do something with law enforcement and got pulled over by a cop in Mississippi, who then told me that he smelled marijuana in my car. The guy in the passenger seat was a federal agent.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that we must be smoking marijuana because he smelled it. This is the kind of people.
Mm-hmm. You guys know this gets better, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I want to tell all the cops though in the Deep South, You only think you smell marijuana because your laundry never gets all the way clean because of the humidity. It smells like mildew.
Everybody's got BO in the South. It just happens.
Yes.
It's 98% humidity and 95 degrees. Everybody fucking stinks all the time. It just happens, man.
Everybody smells like swamp water and
you know how Mitchum used to say you could skip a day? Well, not in the South, man. You can't even skip an hour.
Okay. Dotson is one of the assistant attorney generals for the area. Dotson's petition to jail Frampton. That's the lawyer. Frampton's the lawyer. Dotson's petition to jail Frampton invokes the quote substantial amount of negative correspondence from the public that BRPD has received since the footage's release, as if they were an apt legal justification to jail someone for sharing public information.
See what I mean? It's because they embarrassed him.
Yeah.
Frampton, who represented the Greens in a civil lawsuit against BRPD, shared the video at the behest of the family.
Yeah.
The family recently settled with the city for $35,000.
That's it? Okay.
Dude, if I'm an attorney and I'm a practicing attorney and a law professor, and this happens to me, I am bringing the largest fucking lawsuit in the history of fucking civil lawsuits against this police department as of that moment when they file those fucking charges. Yes. I am going to sue them with a number that I am demanding that is so large that most of those illiterate fucks at the police department can't even actually comprehend it.
Yes.
Always, go ahead.
I was going to say the Greens family civil lawsuit was formally dismissed after they agreed to the settlement. Accountability, however, is still elusive. The sum will come completely out of the taxpayers' pockets, and the officers will evade having to answer for themselves in civil court proceedings. Perhaps most troubling is that they all kept their jobs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's Louisiana.
And of course, it's the same double standard as always. They will tell you if you don't want to do the time, don't do the crime. Well, look, if you don't want to be fucking embarrassed, don't do embarrassing shit to the fucking citizens in your jurisdiction.
Yeah, if you don't want to be embarrassed by somebody sharing a video of you strip searching a minor because you smelled marijuana, then
publicly strip search.
Yeah, don't publicly strip search.
Like private. And in the police
like out
station.
On a sidewalk where everybody could see.
It was on the side of the road. Yes.
The funny thing is the Supreme Court has actually ruled that they don't have the right to do that. You can refuse.
Yeah.
And then they will have to get a warrant to strip search you.
Yes.
And how are they going to get I thought I smelled marijuana is probably, even in the Deep South, unlikely to get them a warrant to strip search a minor.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's that good old boys network.
And that's the thing is, like, if I'm fighting that charge, I'm going to be petitioning the court to say, well, but there's no way I'm getting an unbiased trial in Louisiana. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, my thought is that they were fucking with the big brother because he was on probation, right? So thought they smelled marijuana. Bam, probation violation. You're gonna go search your house. The little brother, the one who was strip searched, just happened to be there. Yeah. So they decided to fuck with him.
Yep.
So.
Because how dare you be in the company of your big brother who we don't like? I mean, I think
it was more like we're going to teach this kid a lesson early so he won't give us trouble like his
brother. I mean,
because strip searching him on the side of the road is totally going to put him on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding? Like,
he's not tagging 1312 and BLM everywhere right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, like, there's going to come a time at some point in the future where these guys get a reckoning, right? That is going to happen. They're going to have to face. Yeah, they're going to have to eventually face what they've done. Mm-hmm. And I console myself with the idea that every single one of them is going to be completely blown away by just how much everyone despises them, and when they suddenly realize that it might be justified.
Yeah. I can segue that. Suburban residents want to break from Atlanta and create their own police force.
Yeah, Georgia cops suck. We've already heavily established on this podcast.
I've
that
gone
Georgia
over on
cops
multiple
fucking
episodes.
suck. Yeah.
Yeah, multiple episodes. I've gone over my experiences with Georgia police and the fact that
No,
they
I
all
don't
have the
blame
IQ of a jar of
Atlanta
mayonnaise left
specifically,
out
I
in
think
Georgia.
it's the worst.
Yeah. Residents in the suburban town within Atlanta are seeking to split from the city and create their own police force to combat rising crime and a recent string of shooting incidents. The Buckhead City Committee, a group of neighbors that includes, quote, lobbyists, attorneys, legislators, and experts, is set to demand an emergency meeting with the Atlanta area officials to become its own municipality.
Buckhead, in case you're unfamiliar with Atlanta, Buckhead is a really, really nice part of town.
Yes.
It is really nice part of Atlanta.
Yes. Leaders of the organization also want to establish their own law enforcement division to address and prevent criminal activity more adequately. Quote, given everything that's been going on here, it's getting worse and worse and worse. That is Bill White. He is the CEO of the Buckhead City Committee. Quote, so what we're doing because of the murders going through the roof and the attempted murders and the lack of leadership and nothing changes, the insanity continues, is we're demanding emergency hearings on our cityhood bills.
Oh, yeah. The Buckhead used to be, so like it's that region of Atlanta, and I only know because I've been there a couple times because I know somebody who lives in that area of Atlanta. Like it's all like business owners and like really nice. Like it's very suburban and kind of high end. And in the past like 10 years, it has started to be turned into fucking Detroit.
Yeah. Quote, people believe that this is truly an emergency. That's the message I'm getting. That we are living in a war zone. My friends will not go to the gas station to pump gas if they have their children in the car.
Jeez.
So, and they go on to talk about a few different crimes that happened in the area, blah, 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 blah. And then
they could always just move further out, but that would be white flight.
Yeah, well, and see, yeah, and exactly. I mean, and that's the thing is like, this is a hallmark, and I bring up how nice Buckhead is because this is an example of how even if you have money, the state still doesn't give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't care. You don't have enough money for them to care. You have enough money that they don't have an excuse to go arrest you, but you don't have enough money for them to care about you. You live in this limbo where you're totally abandoned by everything and on your own. You don't have your neighbors to turn to, nothing. And what they're trying to do is say, we want to protect our own community. We are the ones who live here, and we should have a right to decide that we want to take care of ourselves.
Yes. Which I'm a huge fan of because I'm a fan of the secessionist movement.
Yeah.
And creating your own freedom through that.
Yeah, and any version of secession always is going to get my support.
Well, I mean, we have
break
that.
It down and break it down and break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that kind of attitude around here because like La Crosse is a city that's steadily growing and starting to absorb surrounding communities, and some communities just jumped right on the bandwagon, but there are a few slightly more affluent communities and things that don't want to be part of the greater La Crosse metropolitan area that way. They don't want to share the police department because they know that the overall level of service that they get from them is not going to be community based. It's not really going to care about them. It's not going to give a shit, and they don't want to get to that point.
Right.
No.
That's the reason they moved outside of the city to begin with.
Yeah, that's why you move, so that you're not in the middle of the city, is so that you get that small town community thing. The problem is that so many people have done that the city starts growing together, and then once that happens, there's a town, the town of Shelby, which is the south side of the town. La Crosse has tried to annex it like at least 10 times in recent memory, and they keep voting against it so overwhelmingly because they look at La Crosse and they're like, but I don't want your police department. I don't want your fire department. I don't want your community, your municipal utilities because they suck. I want the stuff that we have. And so fuck you. And so now it's weird because you go from La Crosse and all of a sudden transitions into Shelby, and then you're just in Shelby for an extended period of time, which is becoming a city unto itself.
And the cities fight this. The cities want these affluent areas because it's so much more property tax. for them
yeah.
to collect.
Yeah.
Well, not
and
only
they-
property tax, but like
Like they can extend all their fucking little authorities, like all their little sales tax.
And there's also the addition of the federal dollars and the state dollars that come in. And,
well, I mean, it's the same thing as Minneapolis, St. Paul, right? Like that's why it's a Twin Cities, is because each city didn't want to have to deal with the other one's political shit, so they stayed separate. So there's allegedly a divider, but if you drive through it, well, I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, that's how it is here. You can jump on the freeway and drive through 3 different cities in 5 minutes and not tell the difference.
Yeah. Like where am I?
All the suburbs
four
of
cities.
DC.
All
the suburbs of DC are like that. It's just like an urban sprawl, and they just have it divided into boroughs like New York and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say, isn't New York City like aren't the boroughs? Don't they have their own police departments? Maybe not anymore. I seem to remember something about that. Like they have their own within the boroughs, their own stuff. Or certain boroughs do. Like Long Island does, but Brooklyn doesn't. Or something. I don't remember exactly. But I think there's some sort of weird division there. That happens a lot in big cities, and especially now that you're starting to get to these like metropoli, I think is the plural. Yeah. Metropoli, where you have
megalopolis.
yeah, like LA, New York City, Dallas, Fort Worth, where like these outlying communities are like, no, fuck you. I want to have.
What were those called? I feel like we read an article about this urban sprawl in these mega cities.
Hell.
But there was like a word that they were using for it, like
Pretty sure it was hell.
Yeah, sounds like hell to me.
Yeah, it just sounds miserable, but like
I live in one. They are.
Yeah, but I mean, we're starting to see that more and more now that we're seeing another like hyper urbanization period. You know, where we go through these periods, like humanity as a whole goes through these periods where these agrarian areas start to urbanize and people start to concentrate, particularly in periods of economic hardship. People start to concentrate in cities, and because of that, we're starting to see this, and the cities are making power grabs, like really hardcore, and trying to demand that everybody, be part of the city. And we see that.
Yeah, to acquiesce to them.
Yeah, and we see, what they're trying to do in Atlanta. We see constantly, like every year, we see it in Detroit, because Detroit has shrunk so much, where these little boroughs want to break away and be their own thing, because they're like, well, you can't provide proper levels of service anymore. You can't give us the proper levels of service of protection. You can't give us the fire department that we need. You can't give us the water service and electrical and everything.
Right. And these wealthier suburbs and more rural areas and stuff, those people used to live in the city. Their income, the tax revenue, all of that used to belong to the city. But while everybody else pours into the city looking for work, the wealthy are fleeing the cities. And so the cities want to expand to reabsorb the wealthy who fled out to the suburbs and rural
if you remember Como in New York essentially begged wealthy people to stay in New York and not move away.
Well, didn't California try and pass something or propose a law where you had to keep paying
California
them even if you moved away?
California had a bill that they had proposed that would tax people living in California for 10 years after they left California.
Yeah, because that's justifiable. That'll work.
Oh, yeah.
None of it's justifiable, but that's beyond.
So,
yeah, but that's what this is, though. This is that same idea, right? That no, you have to keep paying me because I need your revenue. So Buckhorn wants to break away from Atlanta and become its own thing, and Atlanta's going, no, I need your revenue. I need all these wealthy people to keep throwing money into my economy to support all my bullshit fucking programs and everything else.
Right.
All right, let's move on to this last article out of Maine. Food sovereignty. Right? That's a really big deal. But strange bedfellows opposing improving Maine's food sovereignty law. Maine's lawmakers are considering a set of bills that would expand and improve the state's already good food sovereignty laws, but some unlikely foes are opposing the change. Maine's food sovereignty law, adopted in 2017, allows local governments in the state to opt into the state law by passing a local ordinance to exempt many direct-to-consumer food sales from burdensome state licensing and inspection requirements. Sounds fantastic, right?
Yeah.
The food sovereignty movement began to emerge in Maine a decade ago in response to an absurd state law that required farmers who wished to sell as little as one chicken per year to spend tens of thousands of dollars to slaughter and process the bird. Supporters of the law consider food sovereignty an immediate expansion on the freedom of Mainers and the right to economic choice. To date, at least 86 cities and towns have opted into the state's popular food sovereignty law. So that's a fourfold increase from 2018.
That's a good way to boost small town economies.
Keep that
to
in mind.
quit fucking regulating that.
Keep that in mind. Currently, 2 amendments to the law are being considered. The first, an act to clarify the Maine food sovereignty law, would eliminate the current requirements that all sales must occur as a, quote, face-to-face transaction at the site of production. That change would allow transactions instead to take place theoretically between buyers and sellers outside the home or farm, and allow such sales to occur online, over the phone, or at the farmer's market, or any other direct rather than face-to-face manner. Right? Sounds good.
Yeah.
The second, an act to provide equal access to the benefits of the Maine sovereignty law, would require counties to allow unincorporated areas inside their borders to take advantage of the food sovereignty law. Right?
What?
Both sound good.
I lost the plot because I'm high.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Okay.
As the Bangor Daily News reported
What?
recently, these changes are intended. These changes are intended to, quote, make the state's local food economy stronger by increasing opportunities for unlicensed home-based food businesses. Right, like your old confectioner punk, right?
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and that's and I love the elimination of the face-to-face thing, because like think about what that
That's
expands.
not how business is done these days.
Yeah. Think about how much that expands the ability to be like, well, I want exemption from, from having to go through all this shit. So, but I also want to actually, maybe stay in business and be able to compete with everybody else. So now I can post online, I can do non-face-to-face transactions. And
right.
It's a good idea.
Right. Now here's the kicker. Not everyone supports the amendments. While opposition to these
I could guess who does.
I was just thinking, gee, I wonder who might oppose that.
While opposition to these food sovereignty amendments is coming from predictable foes, the state's larger licensed food businesses, it's also coming from a surprising quarter: Maine's farmers markets.
No, that's not surprising.
They're worried that the sale of uninspected food will give farmers markets and their vendors a bad name.
No, I don't think that's their reason.
Quote, I think there's a lot of quote, I think there's a lot of value for an individual to be familiar with the way food is produced and to know how it has been produced in a facility that does not meet the food safety rules. That is a quote from Mark Guzzi, president of the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets. Quote, by limiting the site of sale to the site of production, you're allowing consumers to have a better understanding of where and how that food is produced.
If they want to know that, they will go to the site of production to fucking buy it. That happens in places where these exemptions don't exist already, where people will go.
Isn't there a spinach recall like every 4 days?
I was just gonna say, the one and only time that I know anybody who ever got listeria. There's only one person I know who ever actually got it, and they got it from spinach from a farmer's market.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
Last time I was at the grocery store, there was no spinach because of a food recall.
Yeah, there's always recalls on these big companies that they're, like in compliance facilities or regularly inspected by the state, and they still have food recalls all the fucking time.
Well, you know why?
Goods, like, I mean,
and the issue is volume, right? Like if you allow, you say you can have X amount of percentage of contamination in your total amount. Well, if your amount is gigantic,
That's a lot of
really,
contamination.
that's a lot of contamination, and it's understandable because it's really hard to monitor every single bit. But if I'm a small time guy, like I'm just growing stuff on 30 acres of land, I don't have that much. I'm, just growing a little bit. It's real easy for me to make sure that's all washed and cleaned and everything else.
Here's the kicker.
And my equipment is sanitized every night. Those other places run 24/7.
Yep. In the 4 years that this law has been in effect since 2017, there has not the complete absence of to date of any reported case of foodborne illness caused by the uninspected food sold under food sovereignty and food freedom laws.
It's not almost like if you want customers to come back, you have to make sure that your food doesn't make them sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Poison customers don't come back. And
generally, I mean, Taco Bell is an exception, but
that's not poison. That's just sheer incompatibility with the human digestive system.
And no one cares. You get high enough.
No one fucking cares.
Fucking burrito, and you don't care that this is not real food.
The reason that they oppose these new amendments to the food sovereignty law is because it eliminates them having to come to the farmers market.
Yeah,
which means less money for the farmers market.
Into their fucking business.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Is it eliminates a barrier that existed for true competition from these other new startups under this new deregulation. And they're worried that they can't outcompete maybe some of these new places on the market.
And yet, where I live, there are farm stands all over the fucking place on the side of the road. Everywhere. And yet we have a very robust farmers market every Saturday through the summer. In the middle school parking lot.
The most delicious food I have ever had is consistently bought from like some random dude named Jose parked on the side of the road with a food truck and pickup truck that.
Well, not even that, but just like the farms come right up to the road, and they have a stand right on the road that their kids are running.
We have that all over here because California, the Central Valley.
Yeah,
literally not every farm, but like. Every 3 or 4 farms, every 5, every 8 or 10 miles down the road, you'll see a farm stand on the side of the road.
Oh yeah, there's even farm stands around here where, because it's the upper Midwest, so the honor system actually still works here, and there are farm stands that there won't even be anybody there. There's just piles of.
I know that's the one we went to when I was a kid in Oregon. We knew the people who owned it, and we would just go and like drop a couple bucks in the can and like take a bag of corn for dinner.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And nobody gets sick from it. There's not even a human being there at all. It's just a bunch of corn and like, hey, we trust you, pay. And like, if somebody leaves you a note that says, we trust you, like you feel obligated to live up to that trust. Let's be honest.
I mean, that was in Clerks. Like it's like control through paranoia. Like you assume somebody's watching. If you tell them that nobody's watching, they'll assume somebody's watching.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's my Irishness and upper Midwesterness, but I go like, but man, if they come back and like I took a bunch of extra,
no, I know
like, they're just gonna be so disappointed in that.
I feel bad if I don't. I'll fucking overpay. I'll put more money in the thing because I'll be like, somebody just came by and took what they wanted and didn't pay. So I'm going to try to make
that is such a pessimistic view.
Because these people, well, no, but like these people deserve to be paid for the hard work. This is hard fucking work. Farming isn't easy.
Yeah.
So,
I agree completely.
Yeah. I'll be like, well, I just know somebody came by and took something without paying.
But you also got to know that these people also look at that and go, well, if they took a couple, maybe they really needed it. They needed it. They need it. They just, maybe that's the only meal that they've eaten is going to be the couple of years of corn they still off our stand. You know what? That's okay. That's fine. We can live without it. But I mean, like this is their fear though, that these people who are getting, and what pisses me off about it What pisses me off about it is there was a time when that farmer's market had to fight for the right to exist, just like these people do, where they had to fight against this same kind of regulatory bludgeon used against them. And then as soon as they get their foothold, now they want to use it against the next up-and-comers instead of putting their hand down the ledge to help lift the next guy up. They want to stomp on his hand.
Once you start operating within the boundaries that the authority figures have given you, once you are in good with them, in good standing with them, anybody who is currently not becomes a threat to you. That's why these authoritarian power structures are bullshit to begin with.
Well, and that's how they survive, right? They survive by encouraging people to want to use them as a bludgeon. It encourages people to turn into bad people. I mean, that's why we always say on the show, like, you can't change the system from the inside, but the system will change the inside of you.
Yes.
When you're in that system, when you try to change system from the inside, it will infect you. You will not be able to fight against it. You will become yet another tool.
Right.
That's exactly what we're seeing happen here. They went from the rebels, right? The farmers markets used to be the rebels. They used to be the ones who were like, you know, hey, just let us do business. Like, we're not hurting anybody. Everybody's fine. Like, and now they're exactly the same as the big chain grocery stores that they fought against.
Yep.
Because their profit margin starts getting squeezed, and you know how people don't like that.
No.
Yep. So instead of just going,
it's not even that their profit margin has been squeezed; it's that they think
it might
it's being squeezed, or it might get squeezed.
Might get squeezed. Yes, that's might get squeezed. True, because the amendments aren't in place.
Yeah, so they're like, you know, I mean, we haven't lost any money, but we might do. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you guys were these same people, what, 10 years ago, maybe 15? You were the same people as these people, and you were in the same position, and you were doing the same fight. And now you have become, like, I feel like Obi-Wan right now. You've become everything you swore to destroy. Like,
what is that name of that organization called? It's the what's the name of the organization the guy was from?
I can't remember. I'm too
the Maine Federation of Farmers Markets.
Yeah. So, like, not only did they become part of the system, but they fucking basically unionized too.
Yeah.
Within the system.
But I mean, that doesn't
worse.
That doesn't necessarily surprise me, because look at the people who tend to take stuff to farmers market. Be like, here's my craft candles and my honey, and that are the organic free range bees.
Oh God, farmers market honey is so fucking good though.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I don't know. I buy all my honey from the Amish, which is pretty much the same thing, but I can buy a giant jar that's literally like a gallon's worth for like $15. So
I get my apples from the Amish here.
Yeah,
because my orchard doesn't produce enough yet.
I buy basically anything that I can cut. I buy lumber from the Amish, okay? But
yeah, we have pick your own farms here, right?
Yeah.
Where you go and you pay your $5 and they give you a bag, and you go and pick whatever you want.
Yeah, the last one just shut down.
Yeah, I'm not picking my own honey.
Yeah.
I'll go pick my own carrots.
Ow. Well, you know, you could have rented a bee seat. Nope. Ow. Yeah. That's how they get you that extra $5.
My friend
had a berry farm.
Just got bees, and they said
like berry and fruit farm here that you used to be able to go to, and you know, you could just walk into their little store and buy a couple flats of strawberries, which I usually did to do jam, or you could go pick your own.
If it's pick strawberries or pay like an extra $2 for the flat,
I'm buying the fucking flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because picking strawberries that's backbreaking fucking work.
Literally
They're down on the ground.
Literally backbreaking.
Yeah.
Me and Lindsay, like we go do that for her birthday. Like that's a tradition because her birthday is the day before mine in October, and that's, you know, apple picking season here. So like we go to the apple orchards and there's tons of them. So we go there and we go pick all of the apples. That's one thing, because you're just walking up to a tree and going boink and then throwing it in a bag.
Yeah.
Strawberries, I'm bending over. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be no, fuck you. No,
you're bending over and bending over and bending over and bending over. And this place is right down on the fucking river, so there's like horse flies everywhere.
and
Deer
there's-
flies, the big ones that bite.
Oh,
and they grow them on the black the weed, the gardening cloth, right? So to keep the weeds down. So like that's reflecting the heat.
super hot and
No.
I'm not doing that. I'm just buying the plant.
Oh.
But I mean, all of these people,
and it's like mud between the rows.
Yeah, but I mean, like all of these people, they started out fighting the establishment. Like that was their thing, right?
And then they used the establishment to fight against the next guy.
Yeah, and now they're using the establishment to stomp on the feet of the next
Which is
guy.
that's like the most boomer thing ever to do. They did that into the highest levels of government.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna use government to help us out here, and so we can all buy houses, but we're gonna use government to pass all of that debt so we can have all these houses and cars and businesses
and
onto our grandkids.
Pass legislation to cut off these avenues for everybody else.
Yeah, fucking. Yeah. Oh.
All right, let's throw out some links and get the hell out of here.
Okay. All right. Buy my book. The description will have the link to my book. Think for Yourself, a critical thinking workbook for beginners. And by beginners, I mean raw beginners, like 8, 9, 10-year-olds.
Yeah. And it's a workbook, guys. There's blank pages. Get over it.
It's a very short workbook. It's supposed to be condensed and very easy for children to assimilate the information.
Yes.
Right. You add it doesn't do everything for you.
Yes. Yeah. And then I have like a crochet pattern that there's a link to that too. But yeah. I don't know. I'm just I dabble. I dabble in things.
She's a dabbler.
Yes. All right. Andrew's turn for his long fucking sponsorship.
Hey, where can people find you, Andrew?
No longer on Facebook.
Yeah, you just got permazucked.
Apparently Zuck doesn't like being called, and I quote, a Nancy little bitch.
Yeah.
He was throwing a spear into his sign while wearing ear protection, okay? And in the most namby-pamby way I've ever seen anybody throw a spear.
Those photos are so
ear
bad.
Protection for a spear?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Yes. I'll have to drop the photo in the group chat.
It is. Yeah, but you can find me on MeWe now. Inked Anarchists, Hootenanny Roundup has returned. Inked Anarchists, Hootenanny Roundup 2 is on MeWe. All of my old memes from the old page are being uploaded there, and I will be uploading new memes there. So if you want to see that, you got to download MeWe. It's free. It's run by a libertarian. It never censors a damn thing. It's not even ad supported. You should be on it anyway.
We're pretty sure nobody's even monitoring it.
Yeah, like you should be on it.
Literally, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, to even run a page, they charge you. If you want to throw up a page, they charge you $1 a month to have like a page. So like it's and you can get a premium version and blah, blah. You want to get it, trust me. But anyway, I'm on there. I'm on Twitter, the Inked Anarchist. You can still find me on Instagram. Weirdly, I haven't been banned from Instagram, but I have from Facebook. So whatever. You can find me there. Also, if you want to care for your beard like a Viking, get a bunch of cool beard care products, including their sea salt night mask, which is fantastic. Really softens your beard. You go to thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15. You get 15% off of your order, and you support me at the same time. If you really like sunglasses, you really like watches, you want to get some cool stuff without having to pay a lot of money for it, use code InkedAnarchist25 on shopvalerio.com. And if you're one of those people who's into streetwear, I don't really know. I'm not really super into streetwear, but I like their sunglasses. I kind of like some of their hats and stuff. You can also hit up Avanti Creo, that is AVANTICRIO.com, and use code InkedAnarchist25 and you can get 25% off there as well. Also, don't forget to check out our boys at Poppins Patches, because they make awesome patches. I have a really cool idea for a Poppins patch. I really want them to do a CCR patch and have it the Keep On Chuglin. And like in the 70s font with like the brown and yellow and white like color.
You need to have them make you a patch that says "Land the plane," Andrew.
Oh fuck yeah, man! That's another one that's got to happen. But I don't know. I got to get a hold of him. I got to figure out how to get a hold of Dave again because like I was talking to him on Facebook, so now I don't have Facebook, so I can't talk to him.
Poppins is on IG. Go find them.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit him up. Yeah, definitely check them out. Buy their stuff. It's awesome, and it's worth it, and it's cool fucking patches, man.
Are you done?
I don't have any more sponsors, although if anybody else would like to sponsor me and have
Why
me
did you
hawk your
ask him a
shit,
question, Jason? You gave him
If-
another excuse to talk.
if you want me to hawk your shit, man, hit me up, give me free stuff. I will and a discount code, and I will hawk your shit all day, fucking every, use it or not. I love money, man. I'm a capitalist.
We're gonna make Andrew start his own separate podcast for his sponsorship.
Just for his
deals.
sponsors, yeah.
Just all my sponsorships, like YouTube, place the music.
Dude,
logo,
what we need to do, I need to have him like record the whole thing out, and I'll put it up on Anchor, and I can just add it to the end of the episodes, and we don't have to sit here for 7 minutes listening to him.
Yeah.
Hey man, just because I'm better at this whole capitalism thing than you are, all right?
So all we have to do is say stay tuned for what,
yeah, it's
and
what,
then
all the
we
links,
can fucking be done, and that shit can just play.
all the links are in the description. You guys can find them. You can find the discount codes. You can find the websites. If you want to use that stuff, do it.
God.
All right,
Awesome.
this is episode 138 from me, D, and the product pimp. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.